Good afternoon, early birds. We're going to get started in just a few moments here. Matt, would you like to kick us off this afternoon?
Sure. Happy to do that. Welcome everyone to the Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP webinar. Uh, just had a few housekeeping items before we get started with the main event. So any questions throughout, just use the Q&A function and feel free to stop the flow and interrupt. Happy to our team will address those. Just a reminder about CPE credit. All the poll questions that we'll have throughout the session will need to be answered. And then we'll have a follow-up on the slides recording survey. And then as you see at the bottom, kind of the details of a CPE certificate. My name is Matt Kiefhofer with LBMC Technology Solutions, and excited to have our partners from ADP leading the session. They'll go through kind of a full overview of Sage Intact Payroll and benefits. We'll have a recap and questions, and then we'll have kind of follow-up items from there. From an LBMC perspective, a lot of you are obviously familiar with our ERP expertise, but we have a pretty diverse offering within the company, about 120 employees. And in addition to that, we have IT services, solutions, and support with managed services, a lot of automation tools, whether it be, back office automation or sales process automation. And then lastly, a deep team when it comes to any kind of integrations that you need to do to connect systems and software development. So our first poll question will go now, and then soon after that, we'll turn it over to the Michaels from ADP.
Great, thank you. So here's our first poll question. Approximately how many employees are at your organization? We'll give you a few minutes to get your answers in. And remember, as Matt mentioned, in order to be eligible for CPE credit, you have to answer all of the poll questions to show participation. Right. I'm going to end the poll. Just wanted to let you know that the vast majority of the people who are on the call, 43%, have 51 to 250 employees. And that's followed by companies with 500 or more. And then in third place is 251 to 500. And we have a handful of participants who are between 26 and 50.
Well, perfect. Let me take over from here. Matt and Dawn, thank you so much. My name is Michael Roman, and I appreciate everyone being here today. My role with ADP, I've been with the company for just over 20 years and work with a variety of sizes of organizations. But in the past few years, I've had the fortune to be a part of our ERP and VAR channel, where we partner with organizations like LBMC and bring our integrated HRIS solution to the market, and which we're going to be talking about today with Sage Intact. So I'm going to talk for a minute, but then give it over to the star of the show, Michael Sedano. Michael?
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Sedano, and I'm the new guy with about 7 years of experience here at ADP. I'm a solutions consultant, and I walk our clients and our partners through the ADP technology, and we're excited to show you Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP today.
Perfect, Michael. So, you may be asking yourself, I know I'm with Sage Intact. Why am I talking to ADP? And that's a great question. So when you look at Sage Intact, those of you who are familiar with the product understand that there is not a native payroll or HRIS solution to the platform. And there's a very simple reason why. When Sage was going to market, they wanted to really kind of partner to bring a leading solution to pair up with their leading ERP. So a couple of years ago, they went through and looked at 15 different vendors and chose ADP for this. And they did it for a couple of reasons. One, because of the way we can service and implement the product, but also the way we're going to work collaboratively to bring integration and capabilities to it, which we're going to show you later on today. So when you hear Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP, what you're going to understand is it's a very configurable solution. You can deploy it very quickly without the need for extensive customizations. We also bring to market for you a single billing model that also delivers to it dedicated service, dedicated implementation, and built-in integration. And the whole focus on this is we want to streamline your processes from payroll to GL and beyond, and give you access to a world-class HRIS solution. So that's what you're going to learn about today, Michael. So why is it such a benefit? Well, we understand that ERP and HR solutions for years have been separate silos, and that created a whole host of problems. It created extra work, inability to see true reporting across the organization, and it actually led to some issues. So what we're doing by delivering this integrated, fully functional solution is giving you better intelligence, better insight, allow you to see more information. You can actually quickly see data across the enterprise, understand what's going on in the organization, and move quickly. You don't have to worry about spreadsheets, which I know we've all been using over the years, and Excel uploads. Nothing is disconnected. These are not separate silos. This is a single silo solution. Think about it in terms of having a full hire to retire set of HRIS capabilities. And what that does for you is it gives your employees, your managers, and your executives great capabilities to more efficiently run the organization, get the data you need to make the best decisions, and have the highest level of profitability and effectiveness.
It's time for poll question number 2. A little delay in the launch, but here's the second question. When it comes to payroll, what's currently being done in your organization? Do you use ADP Workforce Now? Are you using another payroll software solution? Could be that you are outsourcing. And I hope that we don't get anyone saying that they're running payroll manually. I can't imagine what a nightmare that would be, but we're giving you that choice. And then there's, I don't know. Give a few more moments to wrap up. Last chance to get your answer in. And then here are the results, gentlemen. We've got 46% that are using another payroll software solution. We've got a third using ADP Workforce Now, and we've got a handful who are outsourcing.
Excellent. So let's jump into the technology. Today, we're going to talk again about Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP, the Workforce Now platform. This is also going to highlight some of the connectivity that we have with Sage Intact Financial. So, new hire movement, journal entry movement, and so we'll go through those different data points as we go through the demonstration here. And so what we're looking at right now is the Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP landing screen. And you'll notice that we have welcome to the employee portal at the top of the page. We talk to clients, prospects about different ways that we can engage with our workforce. And so we see a lot of our clients actually highlight this tile as an employee spotlight or employee of the month, making sure that we're driving traffic to an intranet so that we can connect with our employees. We also have a benefits tile here, so highlighting that we're in an open enrollment period. As we transfer out of that open enrollment period, we can highlight things like our hiring or maybe a referral program that we just launched, anything to drive traffic around things that are a priority for the organization. Along with all of the things we see here in the portal, we also have the mobile application, which allows employees to clock in and out. They can respond to surveys that we send out, either custom surveys that we've launched, or maybe even ADP provided surveys that can gauge engagement of the workforce. And then, of course, this is all paired with employee self-service. So allowing employees to access things like pay statements, they can compare a prior pay versus a current pay. And the intelligent self-service within the mobile app will call out any differences between the last paycheck and the current paycheck. So if I see $50 less, we'll call out, hey, you had a wage garnishment or you contributed more to a 401k or HSA plan, just making sure that the employee is aware of why those changes are there. The statistic around that is when we turn on employee self-service, we see about an 80% reduction in the amount of questions that are going to our HR and payroll folks because we're giving employees access to that data. Here, employees can change information like direct deposit or tax withholding data. If there are any needs to tie this to an approval flow, we can set up where an employee is, aware of that change, or we can just send out a notifier. We want to make sure that employees only have access to their own information, and so we reserve the first 3 tabs for employees themselves. Resources, where I can view company documents, the Myself tab, where I have access to my own information. And then if we have folks that are people leaders, we open up the My Team tab, where I can have access to my team. Again, as an organization, if we wanted to block certain things from those managers, we do have the ability through our access permissions to turn those things off. Same with reporting for those managers. We can make sure that managers are only having access to the things that we want them to as an organization. The remaining tabs here are all for our super users, our practitioners, our folks in payroll and HR, our folks in C-suite, just making sure that we have access to the entire organization, the ability to process payroll and new hires, and then set up the look and feel of this system for others. So how are we getting employees into the system? From the process tab, we can go into our hire rehire template. This is allowing us to then pull in that new user. Once we click there, we can choose from one of the templates that we've included. We can make sure that these templates are set up for your organization. In this example, we're hiring Chris Anderson. We can see the hire date, that Chris lives in New Jersey here. We can enter that address detail. We can make sure that the information relating to their pay is also included here, as well as that taxation. And again, if we needed to include custom fields as part of this template or time and attendance information, we can make sure that that is part of this template as we're entering that new hire data. An important thing to note here is that we can pull the information in from ADP's applicant tracking system. We also have the ability to partner with third-party providers like Jazz HR, iCIMS, Greenhouse, to name a few, pulling that data in from those third-party applicant tracking systems to populate the data here. There's a statistic around this as well. About 70% of an HR, 70 minutes per day of an HR or payroll administration person's day is spent in duplicate entry. So the idea there is to reduce the amount of duplicate entry we're doing and being able to integrate with other systems. Once I submit this new hire, I can see that Chris Anderson is now a completed hire within the system. And now we can view that contact information within Sage Financials. And we can see that the employee ID within Sage Financials is matching the associate ID within Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP. That same syncing mechanism is what we'll use to do any type of terminations, employee changes. So if I change a department or something other than that, we're syncing that data in real time over to Sage Financials. From there, we would launch the employee onboarding. And so, trying to take care of things like paperwork and getting the employee familiar with the company so that on day one, that employee can focus on getting familiar with the building itself and their team members, just making for a better first day. The onboarding here can be sent before the employee walks in the door. So a welcome message from their manager, letting them know that we're excited about their first day. We can also include a video, a YouTube or Vimeo link highlighting the culture of the organization, showing that new hire, their team, and the different folks that they'll be working with. We can also include a mentor here. So if we wanted to pair anyone with that new hire, they would be able to see the contact information for that individual as well. Under profile, we're having our employees confirm information that we collected during that recruitment process. The employee can also add things like EEO information here, or even custom fields. Next, we'll walk the employee through the paperwork session. And this is our HR payroll favorite. We're walking the employee through section 1 of the I-9 form. We also partner with E-Verify at this step as an option. You can turn it on or off, but it automatically pings E-Verify for that verification. So it lets the employee know this will take 5 to 8 minutes to complete, and they're walked and guided through section 1 of the I-9 in bite-sized pieces, making it very easy for that new hire to complete. Once we collect the information here, the manager or that HR person will be prompted for section 2 when the employee starts on their day 1. I can also see W-4s for tax withholding. We have our company policies, our payment options. We also support uploading of documentation. So if we need an education certificate or a screening, as well as fillable forms, allowing multiple signatures here to take place. If our handbook acknowledgement needs the employee and manager signature, we can have them both sign that document, as well as supporting custom forms. Like we have parking passes that need to be filled out with driver's license numbers and license plate numbers. We can do that as well. Now, all of this data is flowing back into Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP. And so in real time, I would be able to see our employees' information here. You can see our employee here, Adrian Adams, demographic information, those custom fields. I will call out at the bottom of each page, we have product feedback. And so we use this information to say, what's working, what's not working across our platforms. And the field grabber here was one of the tools that was built out of that feedback. We hear from prospects, we hear from current clients, getting access to reporting or custom reporting at least is clunky. We have to go through this process of building out these reports. With the field grabber, I can go into a menu that I'm familiar with, once I'm trained on the system, and then I can select these data points and pull them into a report. The report writer will say, here are some reports that you've run that are similar to this in the past. If not, I can continue to build this report by clicking on different pieces of the technology and pulling in, EEO data, I-9 citizenship information as well. Now, when it comes to a myriad of different industries, healthcare workers, restaurant workers, construction, manufacturing, we have licensing and certification needs for our employees. We can enter that information into the system and then notify different user levels, our practitioners, our managers, and the employees themselves, or just specific groups depending on the organization need. And we can notify on a 30-day reminder, or we can set that reminder value to something further out if we need more leeway. In addition to hosting the data points associated with that documentation, we can also host the document itself. Within our system, we allow for unlimited document storage and 21 different file types, ranging from doc, PowerPoint, PDF, all the way through MP3, MP4, and different file types that are needed for the employee record. We can see folders over here to the left of the screen, and this allows us to curb access. So if we confidential medical, it sounds like a folder that not a lot of people should have access to, and so we can only be accessible to those folks that we've included as part of that access permission. The document cloud also supports fillable forms as well as e-signatures. So if we need to gather signatures from, again, that employee or from their manager or multiple users, we can send those documents out and make sure that we're getting those signatures. We mentioned earlier in the call having the ability to send out surveys. And so from the HR dashboard, the same place where I would do a job change, and these can be set up for custom workflows or view the onboarding dashboard, seeing where those employees are in the process. We can also send out different surveys or broadcasts through the system. The surveys, again, can be customizable, so we can create our own, or we can use one of the existing surveys here. Some of the engagement surveys are backed by the ADP Research Institute in partnership with the Marcus Buckingham. So Harvard research behind the questions, the ability to understand how engaged our workforce is. And then once we see those results, what are some areas that we need to fortify with our employees? What are some of the training needs that are, that we're now made aware of through this survey? On the other side of this, the broadcasts, we can help with employee engagement there. I can say, it's Sandy's 10-year work anniversary. If you see her in the office today, wish her a happy anniversary. We can also make our employees aware of different closures. If we have a weather event and we don't want anyone coming into the office, we can broadcast that out directly to mobile, and those employees will be able to see that information. Generally, hand in hand with our HR, we see folks signing up for our benefits platform, and ADP is acting as the administrator for the benefits. You can also partner with your current broker. They can load benefits into the system here. We can send the information out to those carriers using either EDI files or APIs for instant feeds of information to those carriers. And on the back side of that transaction, sending that premium data or deduction data over to payroll automatically. As an employee, when I log into the benefit system, I'm able to see my open enrollment. I can see what I currently have elected. I can report a life event change or manage dependents and beneficiaries, all from this one benefit screen. As an employee, when I open up that benefit enrollment, I can see a welcome message. And this is something that we can customize. It can talk about different plan changes from the prior plan year to the current. We can also include contact information of who to reach out to internally if I have any questions, or whatever the client or the organization would like to highlight here. Then we want to understand who is part of this event. So adding those dependents and beneficiaries gives us the opportunity, when the employee gets to the decision support tool, to understand who is part of this enrollment process. ADP has partnered with NAYA for decision support. It lets the employee know that this will be about 13 minutes, and they can enter in coverage information. They can enter, either as a new hire or current employee, their current benefit plan group number. And then we can show them, this is how much you've spent towards your deductible. And this is how much you have remaining. Typically, as employees, we estimate that we spend anywhere from $500 to $1,000 less than we do on benefits. And so having these exact numbers is a really big impact for employees when they're determining what they should enroll in for benefits. This tool will also call out the primary care provider. Are they in network? Are they not in network? Prescription drugs for affordability. So just allowing the employee to see that full scope of what applies to them and then being able to recommend solutions based on that. Of course, if employees would rather, they can skip the decision support altogether. We're capturing waive information. They can also view the plans on their own, side-by-side comparisons here, showcasing different things like plan deductibles, what I should expect when enrolling in these plans. So we can look at the PPO plan versus that high deductible. We're showing the individual overall deductible, any out-of-pocket costs, and we can include as much information here as is available through those plan setups. Once I enroll or waive coverage, I'm sent a benefit summary through the system. As a practitioner here, I am able to access any of this information through the benefits dashboard. And this is a place for that benefit individual to see how many employees are eligible during this open enrollment period, how many employees have not started, and being able to send out reminders through the system that go to the email and to as a push notification to that mobile phone, just making sure that we can increase the employer participation during these open enrollment events. And the same is true of new hire enrollments. We often talk to clients or prospects that have been burnt by not doing benefit reconciliation. And so we make it very easy for users to log into the portal and to see the benefits by carrier. So I can compare this Guardian Life report to what I'm seeing from the Guardian Life invoice. If there is a difference, I can pull a change report. I can understand where that difference is coming from. Benefit providers admit to a 3 to 7% error rate in billing. And so we want to make sure that we're doing this invoicing, especially because they only give us about 30 to 90 days to get that refund on premium. And we've talked to clients that have had, an employee that they terminated being charged premium for well over 6 months. So again, making that process very easy, baking in Intacct support too. I can load up a chat box. This is a live representative on the other side of this that can answer any questions about how to pull a specific report or any questions you may have about benefits. In addition to that, we want to make sure that you're compliant. And so we would input your initial measurement periods and your standard measurement periods. And if you're using time and attendance with Sage Intact Payroll, or if you're just importing that time information into the payroll worksheet, we are tracking those hours. And we'll let you know, hey, this person is trending towards full-time hours. This person has crossed that threshold and they're now required to be offered insurance. So anything to just help, make sure that you're compliant with the ACA regulation. We also file the 1094, 1095Cs on your behalf. Now, when it comes to time collection, we offer a lot of different options for capturing that time information, whether it's the mobile application or through a physical time clock, a tablet, or through the PC itself. However we're collecting that data, it's all flowing into the same database. And so we could even have employees that are using multiple clocking options as part of throughout their workday. As a manager from the My Team tab, I can go into my team dashboard here, and I can see, one employee's missed punches more than the rest of the team. We'll call out any outliers. The same would be true if an employee clocked out late, maybe they're incurring overtime. We just want to call that out to management, letting them know that we have an employee that, doesn't fit the, the group here, and we may need to have a conversation with them. We also can input different shifts to review. So I can set the parameters of this, employees working more than 10 hours, or they clock in or out before or after a certain time. And then we'll go give that manager shifts to review. And I can see that the schedule here was supposed to end at 4. Our employee is entering 5 o'clock. So I can view this time card. We also have Bill's information there if I wanted to reach out and understand where that excess hour is coming from each day. The time card itself allows users to input time to certain departments. We can also add additional columns here for grants, jobs, projects, tasks, whatever we need those employees to clock time to, so that we can move the information into Sage Financials after we process payroll. If we'd rather not have the employee clock, we can also set it up on their employee profile. So we can say, this employee's time is always split between these 2 or 4 departments, and then that information will transfer to payroll with that 4 split, and then we are able to send the earnings and even the deductions with that same splice over to the financial system. Once we confirm that the time information is correct, we can go into our payroll dashboard. This is showing multiple companies at the top. So if we're an organization that has multiple pay frequencies or multiple tax IDs or FEINs, we can house all of the information in a single database so that we can easily do cross-company reporting. We'll also call out things to do. In some industries like construction, we see about 35% of folks use our time and attendance system. Others may be using another timekeeping system. And so our things to do will call out, let's say we import time from that third-party system and we're showing a terminated employee. It might be their last pay, but we're still going to call it out. We'll say, hey, we're showing time for a terminated employee. Are you sure you want to move forward? Just making sure that everything is buttoned up before we actually process payroll. You can see here that we also have multiple different frequencies within the same dashboard, weekly and bi-weekly, so we can set this up for a myriad of different options depending on your setup. To process payroll, we can pull in the time from the Sage Intact time and attendance. We can also add a worksheet and manually enter time. If we need to do any type of prevailing wage logic or anything that would require us to apply different wage calculations, we can turn on the add time and rates to do that algorithm of applying those different rates. And then we can import from a third party. On top of this file-based import, we can also direct write into ADP Payroll through an SFTP server or through an API. So multiple different options for getting this time data in. The result is the same, no matter where the time is coming from. It's all going to display as a worksheet here. And I can see, on the first line, we have Ashley showing up twice because her hours were split between 2 different cost centers. And so this cost center could tell a different story of what happened with this 40 hours of time. I worked on this job or project, first 3 digits, this task, this grant, depending on what we have set up. And then we're able to splice the accounts in different ways to send over to the financial system on the back end when we have this delineation here. Each employee also comes with their own pay profile. And this is what's telling the system the employee's regular rate of pay, any type of deductions that they have, like 401k or medical deductions. We have our tax withholding for federal, state, and local. And if you have employees that are working across multiple jurisdictions within the same pay period, we also handle multi-jurisdiction taxation. Once I confirm that the information looks correct within that payroll worksheet, we can calculate the payroll. Before we actually approve the payroll, we're taken to one last final checks and balances that allows us to compare a prior pay versus a current pay and see if there are any large variances. I can click that compare, and I also can use this drop down if we're on an off cycle and we want to compare like for like. I can select another payroll. So I can see my current payroll. This is my prior payroll. There's a pretty big variance in company liability as well as in the hours that have been worked. So I can view the data detail here and understand where that variance is coming from. We also have all of our payroll reports here on the right-hand side. I can check those off before running just to make sure everything is correct, all before approving that payroll. Now, once I click approve, we're then doing the money movement on your behalf. So if we are processing in-house, there are a ton of tasks associated with doing payroll in-house. When partnering with Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP, we're taking everything in gray off of your plate. And so the things that our practitioners need to do, getting that time entry into payroll, processing those new hires, terminations, and changes, and then doing voids or adjustments after the fact if necessary. Otherwise, we're handling that new hire reporting, those garnishment disbursements, our 1099s and W-2s, and even sending information post-payroll over to the general ledger. And so after that payroll process, I can log into my reports dashboard and click on my general ledger interface. Here, we map your chart of accounts during implementation. So we create that general ledger file. We select the payroll that we just processed and create. From there, we can click on the transmit button, and then we can see those journal entries here in Sage Financials by viewing that transaction. And then I'm able to see the different dollars amount that are associated with the department and location, which is what we had employees tie the data to. We can also, again, do job, project, grant, however we need to do those allocations. In addition to the general ledger, we also have 174 standard reports in the system. We file taxes on your behalf, but we can pull those 940 and 941s. We also have access if someone gets hurt on the job, we can file an OSHA form and then have an e-file report ready for us from the system, our EEO reporting, Section 503 for talent acquisition. So all of these canned reports exist within the system, as well as the ability to pull custom reports. In addition to all of the reporting here, we also have our analytics and benchmarking dashboards. This allows us to take a look at different metrics that we're utilizing within this system. And I can even tag some of those specific metrics as a watch list item. So if I want to take a look at my headcount or my hires, terminations, I can put them on a watch list and be notified of when things are happening in that space. We also will call these things out on the mobile device, even providing some tips for moving forward. So in this example, I can see voluntary turnover in Louisville is 38% higher than the company average. So we're calling that out as an outlier and allowing you as an organization to say, okay, what's going on with Louisville? Maybe, let's take a look at the managers, let's take a look at the job titles, departments in that area, find out where the most turnover is coming from. We can very easily do that in our metrics, which we'll show in just a bit. The other thing, large teams tend to have higher turnover rates. You can input your industry when you implement this, and it says in your industry, teams of 20 to 25 see turnover rates 3 times higher than those of teams of 5 to 8. And so as an organization, if we are experiencing high turnover, understanding that 70% of employee engagement is tied to their manager, we may just have too large of a span of control for our managers. They're not able to effectively check in with their employee as much as they need to. And so, thinking about different ways that we can reduce turnover and help retain our employees. We can also ask the tool different questions, like show me my turnover rate, or how is my headcount compared this year to last year, or how's my turnover compared from last year to this year. The tool then spits out a response with a visual dashboard, which we can take a drill down into. And so I can see turnover for my organization is around 1.54%, trending downwards. I can also, view the metric detail. This is going to expand on that same idea. We're looking at this over time, but again, if I wanted to take a look at a specific job title or maybe a manager, if we want to understand which managers are doing a better job than others of retaining staff, that might help us understand best practices and then implement them across the board. I can see Aubrey here, 300% turnover in our demo space here, very high turnover. Maybe we can look to some of our managers that have lower turnover, again, collecting those best practices. Now, ADP as an organization pays roughly 1 in 5 to 1 in 6 Americans. This data set is 40 million employees across 1 million organizations in the US, 4 times larger than our next closest competitor. And so we're able to benchmark ourselves against that data set. I can input my specific industry, my revenue size, employee size, and ownership type, and then we'll show you, this is the ADP benchmark for that splice of data. And then we can compare ourselves to that based on a state or department and understand how we compare. In addition to that, we also have diversity, equity, and inclusion dashboards, benefit enrollment dashboards that show us the change of plans, recruitment information, what our recruitment funnel looks like, and where we need to focus our recruitment efforts. We also display information that we may not have thought about in our storyboards. So pay equity, the cost of turnover, are we ready for our aging workforce? And so, when we think about the year 2022, about 8% of the workforce was Gen Z. Last year, 14%. And so far this year, we're at 16.8% Gen Z total makeup of the workforce. So we're seeing an incoming generation. We're also seeing a lot of folks retire. So understanding, what as an organization we're doing to make sure that we're passing that knowledge off to the incoming generation. From a plan design functionality, what do we need to do from a benefits standpoint to appeal to that generation? What do we need to do from a recruitment standpoint to also appeal to that generation? Things that we have to start thinking about. We'll enter our targeted retirement age and show you how many employees are projected to retire in the next 1 year or 5 years, and then those jobs at risk, as well as the locations at risk. And again, those tips for moving forward, thinking about recruitment efforts now, and planning for the future. We'll close with one last thing here, talent market insights. We mentioned the power of this data. Again, around 40 million employees are part of this data set across 1 million organizations. So if I'm hiring someone, I can enter in a specific job title, let's say an HR coordinator. Now, instead of looking at 40 million employees, we're looking at around 23,000 employees across 8,500 organizations. I can see the quarterly turnover rate for that job, the average time to fill, demographic information as well. What is the makeup of that job title for gender, race, ethnicity, and tenure and role? It looks like across the nation, about 30% of HR coordinators are in role for less than 1 year, signaling to us that we need to ask questions during the interview process about longevity. And then we're able to see compensation. So we can see 57,000 is the national average for HR coordinators. But if we're hiring in a specific area, let's say, we opened a branch in Chicago and we want to understand, what we need to pay there to be competitive, we can click on Chicago. And now we're seeing about $2K above the national average for HR coordinators in that market. And we're updating this information on a monthly basis. So we're not looking at 12-month-old survey data or data that's not being updated on a frequent basis. We're able to see the ebbs and flows of the market. We talk all the time about 2020. We saw huge spikes in bonuses for healthcare workers. We're trying to say to stay-at-home moms and dads and retirees, come back to healthcare. We need you. Pulling healthcare workers from our competitors. And so as a result, we saw a big uptick in those bonuses. And without that refresh rate, we lose out on how the market's responding. So I want to thank everyone for allowing us to present today. And Michael, I'll pass back to you.
Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate your time. I think we've got another poll question here at this point.
We sure do. Thank you, guys. What is your organization using today for its people and human resources processes? We have a mostly manual and paper-based process, or we have a combination of software and manual processes. Our payroll comes with an HR solution. And then, of course, if you don't know, we've given you an option there. So this is our third poll question, and there will be a fourth poll question just for those of you who are here for CPE credits. Give you a couple more moments here. And last chance to get your answer in. So here are the results. The majority has a payroll system that comes with an HR solution, followed by a good chunk of our audience just isn't sure. And then 23%, we have a combination of software and manual process.
Well, perfect. That's been great. Michael, thank you so much for that walkthrough of the Sage Intact Payroll powered by ADP. So just to do kind of a quick recap and a couple things to think about. I think what you saw is, what is Sage Intact Payroll? Well, it's, first of all, this is the preferred solution by Sage. They selected ADP to do this. It was an open competition. And it brings a very important part to an already robust ERP. We know that when you look at an ERP, some of the top demands of businesses for the ERP systems are obviously finance and accounting, but they also want to improve business process. Well, the most expensive part of any business is its people, and we bring a very strong process, as you show, on how to manage that aspect. Tracking jobs and projects, Michael showed you through the time and attendance system, our ability to track that as well. But I think about things like business intelligence. You may not think about an HR system delivering and deriving business intelligence, but the way we're able to bring that in and pair that information with Sage Intact, I think is really powerful. So, it's a preferred HR solution. The idea is we have this built-in integration between payroll, people, time, and your ERP. Ernst & Young had an amazing survey that came out this past year that said, the estimated cost of a manual data entry transaction, if you have to put something in on your own, has gone up to $4.78. When you think about that, if you're spending time taking a piece of data from your current payroll system or HR system and having to key it into your ERP or another system, it's almost $5 per transaction. You can save a lot of that time through an integration like we deliver here. The idea is also streamlining that dimension in the posting, post payroll data to your GL with dimensional data is absolutely critical. Think about as well as a robust, the hire to retire from recruiting to onboarding and through, and that the ability to bring these disparate systems, disconnected systems together. When you look at it, I think it was Career Builder came out and said that HR managers who have to do manual effort spend about 14 hours a week on manual processes throughout the week. That's a massive amount of time that your managers may be spending in not engaging with your employees, identifying high performers, and finding ways, to be more productive. So we can solve for a lot of that. And in the end, we also bring together, because of the Sage partnership with ADP, dedicated implementation, dedicated service, and preferred pricing. So if you look on the right, who's eligible? And this is important because we had about a third of the attendees that are with ADP today. First of all, small business, at least 50 employees, right? 50 employees, that is where it is. Anything lower than that is not something we can offer today. Companies not using ADP for payroll today, Sage Intact Payroll is a very specific approach to the ADP mid-market solution called Workforce Now, where we work in collaboration with LBMC. If you are an existing ADP client on Workforce Now, don't despair. We can provide an integration to you. We can do it separately. You just won't get the benefit of some of the other things like the preferred pricing, but we can help you there. New existing Intacct customers, obviously, If you're evaluating Intacct today and payroll's in your scope, we definitely want to talk to you. US based employees right now, that's where we're focused. We do have some in Canada as well, but really is primarily US based. And industries, we've got great success, broad industry acceptance. So if you're in manufacturing, healthcare, IT, not-for-profit, we have a solution for you. So I appreciate the time today and Michael's participation and Dawn and Matt's partnership on this. Hopefully you all found it very valuable. And Matt, I'm going to kick this back over to you to close us out.
Sure. If you haven't already, a quick reminder, I encourage you to sign up for our next event, which is next Wednesday, the 22nd. It's our Hot Topic series, which happens quarterly. And Dawn will post the registration link in the chat. So I encourage you to go ahead and register for that next week.
And we've got our final poll question. And here it is. I would be interested in learning more about Sage Intact Payroll and some of the things that Matt talked about early on, ERP and CRM integration, improving cybersecurity. Our network engineering group is fantastic. And they also provided outsourced help desk services. So I'm having difficulty with the chat function, but if you need the link to register for Hot Topics, just email me at info@lbmctech.com and I'll shoot you over a registration link for that. And I apologize for the chat not working the way that it should. So this is our last poll question for those of you who are here for CPE. And Michael Roman and Michael Sedano and Matt, I'm happy to report that 40% of the folks on the call would welcome more information about Sage Intact Payroll. And we're happy that you see the value there.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that from a contact perspective, multiple contacts, so you can reach out to you see Michael's contact there. It would be a angle for you. You also could reach out to me or Dawn or any of your LBMC contacts that you maybe already work with. So we really appreciate you attending. We appreciate the Michaels going through the power of the Sage Intact and ADP combination. And we'll hopefully see you guys next week on the Hot Topics webinar.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.